Joining me now is Chris Matthews, the creator and anchor of Hardball for 20 years here on MSNBC. And his new book is This Country, My Life in Politics and History. Chris, congratulations on your book. It is a wonderful memoir. And let's start with the For the People Act. You lived through the Civil Rights era, as I did. You watched, I guess as a high school student, perhaps, all of the events unfolding in the early 60s. Extraordinary.
Well, I think for Bobby Kennedy, it became real, and he was one of the guys who really converted to civil rights. He wasn't so much a civil rights guy in his youth, but he became one when his friend John Siegenthaler got hit over with a metal bar or something down at one of the Freedom Riders events. And I just realized how violent the white opposition was to letting people have equal rights on interstate buses. I mean, a simple right, get on a Greyhound bus and travel through bus stations and be treated equally. The federal law said you're supposed to be at the time, but it wasn't being enforced. And so the Freedom Riders went out there to test it and see if the country really was equal when it came to interstate busing, and it wasn't. And they were violently opposed.
And it's amazing that, we thought that the civil rights era was, history, and now we're still seeing the voting rights being rolled back state after state. And also, of course, police protection. You were formerly a Capitol police officer, little known, before you worked for Tip O'Neill on the Hill. The Justice Department has released new video in the case against a man accused of leading the Proud Boys on January 6th. What was your first reaction when you saw the attack on the Capitol, a place where you worked, which you loved so much?
It was, you worked up there and I worked up there. I worked on both sides, on the political side and the journalist side, and I have to tell you, I felt violated. I felt the building was a cathedral of democracy. I keep reminding myself that's where Lincoln gave his second inaugural about the Civil War and how it was penance, basically for slavery, and what was done by this whip was going to be paid for by the sword and blood. And he tried to explain to the American people the horror of slavery and this thing we inherited, this horror. And it's also where they passed the Civil Rights Bill in 1964. Mostly Republicans, as you know, did the voting. And with the South, the segregated Democratic Party had 22 segregationists in it right to the end. That was the old segregated deal the Democrats had struck. The Democratic Party had a deal with segregationists. We've come so far from that. But yet I think there are a lot of people in this country, white people, I'll be blunt about it, who would rather have this country ruled by whites than ruled democratically. I mean, if they really asked them after sodium pentothal or truth serum, or just put them under oath and say, would you rather have a country run where whites win all the elections or most of them? Or would you like to have a truly democratic country where people, regardless of their ethnic background, would be allowed to vote? And I'm afraid of the answer, because I see what happened in Pennsylvania, which of the assembly up there, the top political Republicans, openly saying that they changed the law up there in terms of voter ID to make sure Republicans won elections. They just openly admitted it. This is Frank Rizzo stuff. This goes back to where you run on tribal lines. You run for the white vote, you gave up the black vote, and you hoped you could win. And unfortunately, that kind of politics, tribal politics, is still very much in evidence among these efforts by state legislatures to basically overrule democracy.
And a lot of people are still denying what happened on January 6th. What do you make of that?
Thank God the police had cameras. We're seeing them later. I didn't like the original pictures, which showed some cops collaborating. But later on, we began to see that people like that African-American fellow, that police officer who led the mob the wrong way so he could protect the life of Mitt Romney, the senator from Utah. I mean, there's great courage by these guys. One thing I remember when I was a cop, which was so effective, when we had the big May Day rally against the Vietnam War, in the basement of the Capitol, we had armed SWAT teams, people in riot gear, helmets, and shields, and all the equipment to withstand an invasion. And they kept them there in reserve, like the cavalry on the Hill, in case they were needed. I don't know why that wasn't done on January 6th. Why didn't the leadership, the sergeants at arms, why didn't they put people in the basement, armed to the teeth with riot gear, in case the word they were getting from the social media sources turned out to be true? Why didn't they wouldn't have intimidated the crowd. But when those doors were rushed, they could have rushed their riot crew right to those doors, stopped the people with batons. A few heads would have been hurt. But I'm telling you, it would have been better than what happened. A little show of force at the right time could have saved the day. They didn't have them ready. And I don't understand why they didn't prepare for it the way they did back in the 1970s. In fact, I was physically there watching this incredible group of riot-equipped police officers ready to go in the Capitol basement. Didn't happen this time. They weren't ready.
And in our final minute, I want to ask you about the president's focus on getting a bipartisan infrastructure bill through. Is he waiting too long? Should he just push ahead through reconciliation and go the Democratic route?
Well, maybe it'll be good for him to really test the enemy fire. If it becomes clear that Joe Biden, who is a soft guy, a guy he's not some hard-driven, crazy politician who will do anything to get what he wants. He's not like that. He's not ruthless at all. He will display to the country over these days and weeks that the Republicans are not willing to play ball on even a smaller, highly narrowly defined infrastructure bill, which does mean just buildings, roads, bridges, tunnels, that kind of thing that we think of as infrastructure. If they say no to that, say in the 800 billion level, something like that, it's clear they don't want to do anything good. Politics used to be about catching the other side when they're doing something wrong. Now it's about making sure the other side doesn't do something good. Everyone knows we need infrastructure. If the Republicans stop the Democrats from doing it, we know what's going on.
Well, Chris Matthews, thank you so much. The new book is This Country, My Life in Politics and History, and it is a great read.